Good Monday morning and welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 11 this morning, the president will participate in a Medal of Honor ceremony in the East Room of the White House. We're following some reports that he will address the nation regarding Operation Epic Fury as well. At 3 o'clock, First Lady Melania Trump presides over a UN Security Council calling for peace through education. So we'll have two broadcast today. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Quite the weekend of news, as you guys saw here on February 28th on Saturday. Pretty much wall-to-wall coverage of the latest out of the Middle East. Obviously, a lot going on there right now. But let's go to President Trump's latest video when it comes to addressing Operation Epic Fury. Of course, that's clip number one.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now again the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons that would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America," or "Death to Israel," or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, and police to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
All right, good morning and welcome back into RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez, of course, hearing from the president over the weekend in regards to Operation Epic Fury. At 11 this morning, the president will participate in that Medal of Honor ceremony in the East Room of the White House, and reports are circulating at this hour that the commander-in-chief will address the nation regarding Operation Epic Fury as well. A bit later on our second broadcast of the day at 3 o'clock, First Lady Melania Trump presides over a UN Security Council calling for peace through education. Meantime, this morning, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General Dan Kane, held a press conference at the Pentagon. Here are some notable moments of that conference with some of the latest CENTCOM videos as we enter day 3 of Operation Epic Fury.
Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it. Through the blood of our people, car bombs in Beirut, rocket attacks on our ships, murders at our embassies, roadside bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan, funded and armed by Iranian Quds Force and IRGC killers. My generation of veterans carry the names of brothers who never came home. Brothers butchered by Iranian-backed roadside bombs and well-armed militias, thousands of our own. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their Ayatollah. It took the 47th president, a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw the line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence. He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. President Trump has also been very consistent. Crazy regimes like Iran, hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons. It's common sense. Many have said it, but it takes guts to actually enforce it, and our president has guts. Iran's stubborn and self-evident nuclear pursuits, their targeting of global shipping lanes, and their swelling arsenal of ballistic missiles and killer drones are no longer tolerable risks. Iran was building powerful missiles and drones to create a conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Let me say that again. A conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Our bases, our people, our allies, all in their crosshairs. Iran had a conventional gun to our head as they tried to lie their way to a nuclear bomb. It almost worked under Obama and his terrible deal, but not under this president. We fight to win, and we don't waste time or lives. As the president warned, an effort of this scope will include casualties. War is hell, and always will be. A grateful nation honors the 4 Americans we have lost thus far and those injured. The absolute best of America. May we prosecute the remainder of this operation in a manner that honors them. No apologies, no hesitation, epic fury for them and the thousands of Americans before them, taken too soon by Iranian radicals.
On February 28th, the full strength of America's armed forces came together in a unified purpose against a capable and determined adversary. The United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and our reserve components integrated across our combatant commands and began coordinated operations with the Israeli armed forces of an unprecedented scale. As the Secretary laid out, our military objectives are clear. Our mission is to protect and defend ourselves and, together with our regional partners, prevent Iran from the ability to project power outside of its borders and be ready for follow-on actions as appropriate. Across every domain, land, air, sea, cyber, the U.S. Joint Force delivered synchronized and layered effects designed to disrupt, degrade, deny, and destroy Iran's ability to conduct and sustain combat operations. On the U.S. side, this marked the culmination of months and in some cases years of deliberate planning and refinement against this particular target set. From precision strikes against key military infrastructure to persistent intelligence and targeting integration to the close coordination of the components across vast distances, this operation again demonstrated America's reach, readiness, and professionalism, and that of our joint united force. It was historic not only in the operational scope, but in the level of joint integration displayed across every element of the joint force. And as I said earlier, this work is just beginning and will continue.
Today, in their desperation, the enemy is unmasked. As Iranian missiles and drones rain down indiscriminately on the hotels, airports, apartments, and other civilian targets of their neighbors. Cowardly terrorist tactics from a regime that for decades has trafficked in cowardly terrorist tactics, lies, death, and destruction to this day. The Iranian leadership has built nothing except proxies and missiles and drones and deeply buried nuclear factories and facilities. Peaceful nuclear ambitions do not need to be buried underneath mountains. Last June, Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their nuclear program to rubble. Afterward, we told them plainly, that's it, now make a deal. They arrogantly refused. We said, rebuild it, and we'll stop you again, this time far worse. Well, President Trump, Secretary Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, they bent over backwards for real diplomacy, offering pathway after pathway to peace. I watched it. I was there. They tried over and over and over again earnest attempts at peace. The former regime had every chance to make a peaceful and sensible deal. But Tehran was not negotiating. They were stalling, buying time to reload their missile stockpiles and restart their nuclear ambitions. Their goal, hold us hostage, threatening to strike our forces. Well, President Trump doesn't play those games. And as Secretary Rubio said after the Maduro raid, if you don't know, now you know. President Trump puts America and Americans first. He doesn't hesitate, and neither do our troops. The mission of Operation Epic Fury is laser-focused. Destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons. We're hitting them surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically. Let me speak straight to you, the joint force, our warriors on the front lines. This is your moment. This is the generational turning point America has waited for since 1979, and since the rudderless wars of hubris, my generation, our generation, endured. Don't listen to the noise. Just stay focused. Our commander-in-chief is steady at the wheel. We face a determined enemy, but you are better. But we must prove it every single day. History doesn't care if we're tired, if we're scared, or if the fight feels big. It demands warriors who rise anyway. Peace through strength, the warrior ethos, lethality, unity of purpose, those are not slogans. They're the beating heart of what it means to wear the uniform, that uniform. You think clearly under fire, you act decisively in chaos, you uphold the Constitution, and you uphold our country without hesitation. We are not defenders anymore. We are warriors, trained to kill the enemy and break their will. History is watching. Be the force you swore an oath to be: focused, disciplined, lethal, and unbreakable. We will finish this on America First conditions of President Trump's choosing. Nobody else's, as it should be. And know this above all, President Trump and I have your back, always. Through fire, through criticism, through fake news, through everything. We unleash you because you are the best, most powerful, most lethal fighting force the world has ever seen. May Almighty God watch over you, and his providential arms of protection extend over you. Godspeed, warriors, and keep going.
All right, so that entire press conference, of course, you could see on the Department of War's YouTube page and X page as well. We're going to be re-airing that in just a bit as we show a number of those CENTCOM videos, the photos, as again, you see that Operation Epic Fury has entered day 3. Meantime, Speaking of CENTCOM, the latest update as of 7:30 this morning, March 2nd, 4 U.S. service members have been killed in action. The fourth service member, who was seriously wounded during Iran's initial attacks, eventually succumbed to their injuries. Major combat operations continue and our response effort is ongoing. This again, according to CENTCOM. The identities of the fallen are being withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notification. Our great patriots and warriors overseas. All right, it is 10:20 this morning, Monday, March 2nd. We have a lot to get to here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including going over the 3 Medal of Honor recipients that will be awarded the military's highest honor today at the White House. We'll be joined live by Robert Burkhead on Staten Island in New York, one of the people receiving posthumously that award is from Staten Island. So we're going to hear from New York in just a little bit. All of this brought to you by some great sponsors. But before we get to those sponsors, let's take a quick commercial break. I'm Matthew Alvarez. This is RSBN Live. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
All right, it's 10:22 on this Monday, March 2nd. Happy March to you. Thanks so much for live streaming in to this Right Side broadcast. We have a lot to get to, of course, today. We'll be seeing the president at the East Room of the White House a bit later. Meantime, all of this brought to you by some great sponsors, including MyPillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the great Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota, the gubernatorial candidate there. So if you go to mypillow.com/RSBN, you're going to see a lot of great sales there. So we can check that out on the screen as soon as we can. But at the end of the day, mypillow.com/RSBN, mattress and topper sale, $99.99, and many other products as well. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right, again, 10:23 on this Monday. The 3 Medal of Honor recipients will be awarded the military's highest honor today at the White House. Today, President Donald J. Trump will award the Medal of Honor to 3 U.S. Army soldiers: Master Sergeant Roderick Roddy W. Edmonds for the U.S. Army, a posthumous award there. Staff Sergeant Michael H. Hollis, and U.S. Army posthumous award as well, and Command Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, U.S. Army retired. So we have some information there for you. Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds, U.S. Army, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his act of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty from January 27th, 1945 to March 30th of 1945 as a prisoner of war in Germany. Staff Sergeant Michael H. Hollis of Staten Island will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously as well for acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as an infantryman in Afghanistan. Command Sergeant Major Terry P. Richardson, then Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson, distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on September 14th, 1968, while serving as the Lima platoon leader in Vietnam. So we'll hear about all 3 Medal of Honor recipient stories from President Trump at the White House ceremony at the top of the hour. All right, some of the news that we're tracking here on the network on this 24/7 news cycle. We're monitoring the latest, of course, in day 3 of Operation Epic Fury as more and more targets in Iran are being taken down. Also, over the weekend in Austin, Texas, a radical Muslim wearing a sweatshirt that read "Property of Allah" shot and killed 2 people and wounded 14 others in a terrorist attack carried out at a popular downtown bar and restaurant in Austin, Texas. Well, we're also monitoring the latest with various depositions regarding the Epstein files. Plus, will the Save America Act pass in the Senate and go to President Trump's desk? Hopefully we see that happen soon. All right, let's go to a video now where Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, speaking about the Medal of Honor recipient, retired U.S. Navy Captain Royce Williams, as he's speaking about this Hall of Heroes at the Pentagon. Let's go to clip 4.
Well, Captain, it's good to see you. We met out back there, and I said, should we do it again like last night? He said, is she going to be here again? No First Lady, I'm sorry. You're stuck with me. But what a memory, what a moment. What an opportunity to inspire a nation. It was a privilege to be there last night, a culmination of a well-deserved moment. And the nation's still talking about it this morning and will be for a time to come. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to all the distinguished visitors that are here recognizing the importance of this kind of recognition for this kind of human being, this kind of American. Gallantry in action. Those are the words that President Lincoln used when he authorized the Medal of Honor. The year was 1861, a time when this nation, as Lincoln said, conceived in liberty, was being tested in ways that it had not before. Our 16th president imagined this medal as a tangible symbol to decorate the ones who braved the storms of battle for our nation. The date of November 18th, 1952, it was a Tuesday. In cities and towns from coast to coast, kids went off to school. Dads worked in factories. Moms prepared supper for later that night. Many Americans went to see High Noon playing in the movie theaters. It was a week before Thanksgiving. And a world away, there were some 300,000 plus American servicemen, our warriors stationed in South Korea. We know the story of what then Lieutenant Royce Williams did. 1 Navy pilot up against 7 Soviet MiGs. 35 minutes of combat. Your plane hit by 263 bullets. I don't even know how that's possible. You protected sailors on their ship, and you sent 4 Soviet MiGs to the bottom of the Sea of Japan. Royce Williams, what you accomplished on that day, November 18th, is the living essence of what Abraham Lincoln wished to honor. Gallantry in action. A little less than a century after Lincoln authorized the Medal of Honor, another president familiar with war would define the battle that animated Royce Williams' life this way. We are fighting the armies of communism. Eisenhower declared, this is not an argument between slightly different philosophies. This conflict strikes directly at the faith of our fathers and the lives of our sons. Freedom pitted against tyranny, Ike said. Lightness against the darkness. In fact, the communist leader of what they dreamed would be a worldwide revolution described their audacious mission in rather simple terms. Lenin said, our mission is to dethrone God. Our chief diplomat stationed in the Soviet Union during that era said that the communists sought to expand wherever and whenever they found one thing, weakness. Our diplomat warned us this, writing, they cannot be swayed by diplomacy or the logic of reason. They only retreat when faced with the logic of force, when strong resistance is encountered. And so, on that Tuesday, on November 1952, a week before families in our nation gathered to thank the author of all that was good, that is or will be, around their Thanksgiving tables, you climbed into your F-9F Panther. And you showed those communists the logic of force. You showed a grateful nation the definition of heroism. Captain Royce, I will conclude with the words that Eisenhower himself said at a ceremony for Medal of Honor recipients just like you. I think the best thing I can do is say, thank you. And thank a merciful providence that you are here at this moment and we can celebrate you. God bless, sir. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go right back to the rest of that meeting there, all about the Medal of Honor, the Hall of Medal of Honor information there at the Pentagon in just a minute. Before we do, let's go to All Family Pharmacy, one of our great sponsors here at Right Side. Quick question, when was the last time you actually restocked your medicine cabinet? Well, most people unfortunately wait until someone gets sick. Then they're scrambling, calling the doctor, waiting on appointments, hoping the pharmacy has what they need. And of course, you should have what you need at home. All you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can actually stock up in advance on essentials like antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, Tamiflu, and more. More than 300 prescription medications are available, everything reviewed and prescribed safely by their licensed /RSBN. And use code RSBN10 to save that 10% on the essentials you want to keep in your medicine cabinet. Great sponsor there on Right Side as we are at the bottom of the hour, 10:32. Birch Gold Group, another great sponsor here. And you can think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. But at today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. And that's why you need to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. All you have to do is text the number Trump to 989898. Text Trump to 989898. There's no obligation, just some useful information there for you, a free info kit. You have a A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. So you can let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. There's definitely some peace of mind there. Text Trump to 989898. Again, that's Trump to 989898. All right, 10:33 Eastern Time. Thanks again for live streaming in. Let's get back to the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There's this ceremony that was happening pretty recently when it comes to the Medal of Honor recipients. Let's go back to that in D.C.
Thank you, Secretary. Secretary Phelan, Admiral Caudle, and Captain Royce Williams will now join Secretary Hegseth on stage for the induction ceremony. Guests, please remain standing. Military personnel, attention to award. The President of the United States, in the name of Congress, takes pleasure in awarding the Medal of Honor to Lieutenant E. Royce Williams for service as set forth in the following. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty on 18 November 1952 while leading a division of 3 jet fighters attached to Fighter Squadron 781, VF-781, and embarked on USS Oriskany. While flying a combat patrol mission over the northeastern coastal waters of enemy-held North Korea, Lieutenant Williams demonstrated extraordinary heroism by intercepting a superior force of attacking enemy MiG-15 fighters in order to protect the ships of Task Force 77. After thwarting the enemy's initial attack, he maneuvered his aircraft to make 2 firing passes on one MiG, which then spiraled into the sea. He inflicted heavy damage to a second MiG-15, which started smoking badly and retired from the fight. When his own aircraft was severely damaged by a direct hit from one of the remaining enemy MiG-15s, Lieutenant Williams evaded further enemy attack while continuing to direct the dogfight. He eventually found cover in a cloud bank, broke off the engagement, and miraculously landed his nearly uncontrollable aircraft on the USS Oriskany. His exceptional airmanship, coupled with his complete disregard for his own personal safety, resulted in the destruction of 3 enemy MiG-15s and severe damage to a 4th, and undoubtedly saved the lives of hundreds of Task Force 77 sailors. By his undaunted courage, bold initiative, and total devotion to duty, Lieutenant Williams reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. The Hall of Heroes contains plaques with the names of 3,500 service personnel who have earned the Medal of Honor. We will now unveil the plaque inducting Captain Royce Williams into the Hall of Heroes as our nation's 3,529th Medal of Honor recipient. At this time, Secretary Hegseth will present the Medal of Honor flag. If you are in the center aisle, please clear so we may bring the flag forward. On 23 October 2002, Public Law 107-248, Section 8143, established the Medal of Honor flag to recognize service members who have distinguished themselves by gallantry in action above and beyond the call of duty. The flag is light blue with gold fringe bearing 13 white stars in a configuration as on the 8-sided pad from which the medal is suspended. It gives emphasis to the Medal of Honor as being the highest award for valor by an individual serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. The flag is presented folded with 1 star showing, representing the medal itself. Folding Captain Royce Williams' flag today are sailors from the United States Navy Ceremonial Guard.
Great moments there as the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, inducts Medal of Honor retired U.S. Navy Captain Royce Williams into the Hall of Heroes at the Pentagon. Good morning once again. Welcome back into RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We have quite the broadcast for you coming up. Of course, we'll go to the East Room of the White House to see the president participating in a Medal of Honor ceremony in the East Room of the White House. And some reports are circulating that the Commander-in-Chief will address the nation regarding Operation Epic Fury as well. In the meantime, let's get to some of our sponsors before we move on with some interviews as well. You can see Rumble Wallet is one of the great sponsors here on right side. You may have seen those conversations happening online today. Censorship is back and it's happening everywhere, unfortunately. Platforms controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. We need to fight back in that information area and in the financial arena. And Rumble is one of the only companies that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. So on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship. But now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off, because banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. So that's why Rumble has launched Rumble Wallet. It's a wallet that no one can cancel, and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like us and many others without any middleman taking the cuts. So with Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. So it's yours and only yours to protect your future and family. So there will be no fees when you tip our channel or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for payouts. So you can support our show and others by clicking the tip button on the Rumble channel there. Go to wallet.rumble.com. You can download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, and step away from the big banks. Wallet.rumble.com, or search Rumble Wallet in the various app stores that you see there on the bottom right of your screen. Also, great sponsor as well coming up. So we're past all the new year, new me stuff. So this is the part where we either forget about it, you know what I mean? Forget about it, or we make it easy enough that we actually follow through, because that's where Cove Pure comes in. Here's the thing, most people tend to go overboard buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, but they completely ignore the most important basic thing, water. Even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve before you even begin. So Cove Pure, enter Cove Pure, changes that immediately. Their ClearWave technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, pretty much anything that isn't water, the PFAs, microplastics, pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, it all gets removed. It's the purest water you can get. And what's amazing about Cove Pure is it lets you choose a temperature of your water, so hot, cold, or warm, and you can actually just tap a button and you get that boiling hot water in just a few seconds. It makes your water taste good too, the way it's meant to be, pure, clean, no aftertaste. Always good to see that. So Cove Pure makes it easy to get pure water within that touch of a button. So instead of a big overhaul, make one small upgrade that adds up really every single day, clean water. Right now, you can get $250 off for a limited time if you use that link on the screen there, covepure.com/RSBN. It's simple as covepure.com/RSBN to take advantage of this special discount today. And I'll tell you what, having filtered water, obviously, I'd rather have that than tap water any day of the week. There are some that like tap water out there, but I don't know how that's possible, to be honest. But anyway. All right, 10:45, Monday, March 2nd. We know the president will participate in a Medal of Honor ceremony in the East Room. So we'll be hearing from the president in regards to these wonderful and great patriots, two of the late great patriots, and also one that is still with us. Specifically, Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds, a U.S. Army Master Sergeant, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty from January 27th, 1945 to March 30th of 1945 as a prisoner of war in Germany. Also, Staff Sergeant Michael H. Hollis of Staten Island, New York, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as an infantryman in Afghanistan. Also, Command Sergeant Major Terry P. Richardson, then Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson, distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on September 14th, 1968. This was while serving as the Lima platoon leader in Vietnam. We will hear the stories of all three Medal of Honor recipients from President Trump at the White House ceremony at the top of the hour, which is in just a few minutes from now. I believe we may have Robert Burkhead joining us live as well, the president of the Staten Island Young Republican Club. He will be joining us live from Staten Island, New York, because one of the late staff sergeants, Michael H. Ollis, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously today, and the staff sergeant originally from Staten Island. So we'll be going to Robert here momentarily as it's 10:47 Monday, March 2nd. We'll be going also a little bit later today for another live broadcast here on Right Side Broadcasting Network for the First Lady, Melania Trump, will preside over a UN Security Council meeting for peace through education. So we have two live broadcast today as we continue to monitor the 24/7 news cycle. Of course, a lot going on out there. Let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with that live interview right after that.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Side Broadcasting Network, looking live at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We expect to see the Commander-in-Chief in about 11 minutes or so. We'll see if it starts right on time, but still, of course, you can stick with us as we continue our live coverage. As we have entered day 3 of Operation Epic Fury, we'll get into some more of those details from that Pentagon press conference that happened earlier today. In the meantime, let's go now to the president of the Staten Island Young Republican Club, Robert Burkhead, joining us live from Staten Island, New York. Sir, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Matthew, for having me.
Definitely. Let's talk about Staten Island, New York, and the fact that the late, great Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously today at the White House. That must make the people of Staten Island feel more than patriotic, but proud to be an American.
It really does. It's a tremendous, I think it's definitely past due. I'm glad that the president, was able to get Michael on the list this time around. I don't know the family personally. I've met the parents through various different forums, but this is absolutely a proud moment for Staten Island, our American heroes, especially with what's going on today. And 24 years old to do what Staff Sergeant Ollis did was incredible.
Exactly. And we're going to hear more about the details from the Commander-in-Chief a bit later at the White House. And let's shift gears and maybe talk from that 30,000-foot view about, when it comes to our military, the six armed forces, the 6 branches in our military. Of course, the new United States Space Force, it's been around for a bit now. But overall, having a strong military and having freedom, those pretty much coincide, especially, in other wars back in the day. We know President Trump was not for the Iraq War, but we're talking about surgical strikes that we're seeing now under Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and President Trump. So just your thoughts about how everything's going out there.
Look, I think that the president is doing this for the America First movement. I think keeping our homes safe is his number one priority. And if he is the president and he is seeing threats that threaten my children, your children, our families, our futures, then you could still be America first. And the one thing that President Trump has done so well is that he is multitasked. He could chew gum, walk at the same time. He could rebuild the White House, extend the ballroom, and make sure he's keeping the homeland safe. I think Secretary Hegseth, I've had the honor of meeting him twice before in my career. He's a great man leading the War Department. I think that our military was rebuilt back up over the past couple of years by the first Trump administration. And I think it's very important what he's doing. He is liberating people. People are rejoicing in the streets. These naysayers that just oppose everything that the president does, they just don't get it. There's a time for party affiliation and there's a time for being an American. And I think being an American right now and rejoicing and supporting our military, and my heart goes out to those that lost their lives in the military over the past couple of days. But these warriors are willing, just as Michael Olis was, to put their lives on the line to protect people like me and my freedoms. And so, God bless our troops. And I support the president and the military 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what many are saying as well. And of course, there are many wins we want to see within the administration. We've been seeing a lot of good things happen. We want to see even more, as we the people are saying all over the place on X, Truth Social, in conservative media, podcasts. But what we're seeing right now, as it's day 3 of Operation Epic Fury, is the leadership of Pete Hegseth, the Department of War Secretary, taking this military to a level that is doing it for the right reasons. This is not something we may have seen under prior administrations. This is something that it seems as if these are surgical strikes, just like in Venezuela, just like the one in Iran earlier, and then now this one here. So nobody wants to see a long ground war. Vice President J.D. Vance told the Washington Post that that's not going to happen. So let's talk about the surgical strike aspect. I mean, that with our military, you don't want to mess with the United States military, do you?
No, you do not. You do not. And I think Secretary Hegseth has been a fantastic addition to the military, especially having served himself. I think one of the things you've seen in past administrations, both Republican and Democratic, is that, you have people that are kind of in the executive world and in the business management world, in their respected fields, and they get cabinet secretary positions. Here you have Secretary Hegseth, who served in Iraq, who literally knows what it is to be in someone's shoes. And they do not take these decisions lightly, putting people in harm's way. And I think, having a military parade in the first couple of days of the new Trump 2.0 administration, filling your heart with that pride on what our military does, really revamping up that morale for our service members. I mean, we have record high enrollment in all branches of the military. So that speaks for itself on what this administration has done. And I think if you actually talk to service members, they probably feel the same way too. And they're enlisting by the dozens. And so I'm proud to be an American. I am proud of our military. Don't mess with our military. And I want to continue to see Secretary Hegseth, President Trump, those around him, lift those soldiers up.
Exactly. And then on top of that, final thoughts here on America's Golden Dome. We know that in the Middle East, Israel has their Iron Dome, but the fact that President Trump and the Department of War is working on, and out of places like right here in Alabama, out of Huntsville, when it comes to this Golden Dome to protect the skies above our country, yet another smart move when it comes to military warfare.
Yeah, I think, and if my history serves me correct, this was an idea that Ronald Reagan had kind of teetered on back when he was in office. And to have President Trump put our priorities safe, I think it's absolutely necessary. I think you could feel the anxieties when you hear breaking news, an attack happened and missiles are being shot at allies of ours. It really puts our safety in focus, especially here in Staten Island and New York City. It's one of the biggest cities in the world, and the tourism, the economy, Wall Street. Why wouldn't someone who wants to do harm target these areas. And so it is so important. I feel safe as a parent, as a brother, as a son, just to know that the president is looking out for our safety, for our country. I think it's absolutely necessary. And it also creates millions of jobs too in the interim, as you said, in your home state. And that helps the economy. It helps our industry. So I'm looking forward to that coming to fruition. And I think the country will look forward to that as well.
I look forward to seeing possibly the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, I would think will be at the East Room of the White House today for the Medal of Honor ceremony as the Commander-in-Chief awards two of them posthumously, and then one of our great heroes will be there in person. So the president of the Staten Island Young Republican Club, Robert Burkhead, thanks so much, and hopefully the snow has melted there in New York.
Thank you, Matthew. It's still a work in progress, but we're working on it.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, man. If you joined us, I think it was last week, Robert Burkhead joined us from outside. You remember when Mamdani was saying you have to have 20 million different IDs in order to sign up to shovel for the city when he's against something like the Save America Act. Come on now, just have an ID, a photo ID and proof of citizenship. That's it, to vote in our elections. A lot of other countries have all of that. We should too. So contact your U.S. Senator and say, come on, let's get this on the road. All right, we're approaching the top of the hour. It's 10:57. We are knowing that just in a few minutes from now, we're expecting to see President Trump at the East Room of the White House. Now, if that's delayed for any reason, we'll go over some more information that we're seeing when it comes to day 3 of Operation Epic Fury. In the meantime, let's go to some sponsors here on Right Side as we get ready to see President Trump. Angelpaste.com. Use that RSBN promo code. Always goes a long way. There's plenty of different skincare products on the website there, so just peruse that site. Of course, if you're looking for a gift for a loved one or you're looking for some skincare products, you can get that right there with Angelpaste.com. They're out of Spring, Texas. They hire veterans, longtime sponsor here at Right Side. So great to have them aboard, along with all of our sponsors, including All Family Pharmacy as well. Because, a quick question for you. When was the last time you actually restocked your medicine cabinet? Because most people wait until someone gets sick and then find yourself scrambling, calling the doctor, waiting on appointments, hoping the pharmacy has what you need. And if you're like me, if you're starting to feel a little sick, maybe a flu or cold or something, you want to have that medicine right there on the onset. So when you go to allfamilypharmacy.com, you can stock up in advance on essentials like antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+. How about Tamiflu and more? And when I say more, I mean it. 300 plus prescription medications are available, everything reviewed and prescribed safely by their licensed doctors and shipped straight to your door. You can be prepared before you need it. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that code RSBN10 to save 10% on the essentials you want to keep in your medicine cabinet. Great sponsor there. We're approaching the top of the hour here on Right Side. All right, so good morning once again. Those of you watching on the West Coast, the East Coast, Central Time Zone, Mountain Time Zone, or in some cases around the world, thanks again for live streaming in. We'll see the president in just a bit from now. As soon as we see that live feed start, we will take you there live. So what we're hearing are a few reports out there that the president will address the nation regarding Operation Epic Fury in the Middle East as well. So as soon as we see that live feed, again, we'll take you there. We'll have a second broadcast of the day. First Lady Melania Trump will preside over a UN Security Council calling for peace through education. So that'll be a second broadcast for later today. Now this morning, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General Daniel Kane, held a press conference, a press briefing at the Pentagon. We may go to some of those moments of that press conference with some of the latest CENTCOM videos as we enter day 3 of Operation Epic Fury. Let's do a quick check, though, on the latest from CENTCOM. As of 7:30 a.m. this morning, March 2nd, 4 U.S. service members have been killed in action. The 4th service member, who was seriously wounded during Iran's initial attacks, eventually succumbed to their injuries. Major combat operations continue and our response is ongoing. That according to CENTCOM, of course, the United States Central Command. The identities of the fallen are being withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notification. And you've heard it before, but our hearts, our thoughts, our prayers for the families of the ones that have lost their lives in this Operation Epic Fury. We're with you, and we know that today is not an easy day. And we know that we'll be seeing the president here in a little bit for the Medal of Honor recipients being awarded for the military's highest honor today at the White House. So let's look at clip 3 as we get ready to go to the White House of the photos of the 3 U.S. Army soldiers that President Trump will award the Medal of Honor. So first is Master Sergeant Roderick, goes by Roddy W. Edmonds from the U.S. Army, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty from January 27th, 1945 to March 30th, 1945 as a prisoner of war in Germany. Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis of Staten Island will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as an infantryman in Afghanistan. Also, Command Sergeant Major Terry P. Richardson, then Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson, distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on September 14th, 1968, while serving as the Lima platoon leader in Vietnam. So what we're planning on here is we're going to hear the stories of all 3 Medal of Honor recipients from President Trump at the White House ceremony any minute from now. So as soon as we see that live feed, of course, we'll take you there. If you're just joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, thanks so much. I know it's been a busy weekend for those of you that have been tracking all of the news stories out of the Middle East. A lot of different things going on there, but we saw this morning a press conference with the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Joint Chairman, Chief of Staff, Daniel Kane, had a press conference this morning. If you missed any of that press conference, we actually have a link to it on our Right Side Broadcasting Network platforms. You can check that out. Also, at the end of this event today, if you'd like, you could check out the latest statement from President Trump on Truth Social. We aired that when it was just about a day ago as President Trump spoke about Operation Epic Fury. Now, we are hearing that he may address this. Of course, I believe he will today as well. Will that be at the top of this event? Most likely. Will he receive questions at the end? Probably, but only we can tell once we get there to the White House, and we'll watch it together live. In the meantime, of course, we also were joined by Robert Burkhead. He's the president of the Staten Island Young Republican Club. He's a proud American, along with many on Staten Island, because today the late Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously. Michael from Staten Island, New York. So that Staten Island, of course, proud, and as are we as Americans to see this event unfold today. Before we get to that live feed, as soon as we see it, we'll take you there. But in the meantime, let's go to Birch Gold Group. You can think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. But at today's prices, those 33 ounces of gold would be worth about $165,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals, because that's why you need to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text Trump to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold, and there's no obligation. It's just some useful information there for you. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, so you can let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Of course, you can get some peace of mind with Birch Gold Group. So just text Trump to 989898. Also, another sponsor before we go to the White House. As soon as we see that live picture, of course, we'll take you there. So we're past all of the new year, new me stuff. I mean, it's March now, right? This is the part where we either forget about it or we make it easy enough that we actually follow through. So that's where Cove Pure comes in. Here's the thing. Most people tend to go overboard buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, which is still great, but they completely ignore the most important basic thing, water. Even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve before you even begin. So you can get Cove Pure here, which changes this immediately. They have this clear wave technology. It's certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. Pretty much anything that isn't just straight up pure water. So these PFAs or microplastics or pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, all gets removed. It's the purest water you can get. And what's amazing about Cove Pure, it also lets you choose that temperature of water. So it's hot, cold, or warm. You just tap that button and you get boiling hot water in just 3 seconds. And it makes your water taste good. I mean, the way it's meant to be, pure, clean, with no aftertaste. So if you're trying to cut back on maybe something like soda, it's easy with something like Cove Pure. Cove Pure makes it easy to get pure water with the push of a button. So instead of that big overhaul, make one small upgrade that adds up every single day. Clean water. Right now you can get $250 off for a limited time if you use the link on the screen, covepure.com/RSBN. Again, that's covepure.com/RSBN. Drink pure, live pure, Cove Pure. Great sponsor here at Right Side. I'm a big fan of filtered water. Man, I don't like drinking tap. Yuck. Anyway, we're going to see that President Trump, as you see on the bottom of your screen, will address the Iranian military operation, of course, Operation Epic Fury at the White House there. And on top of that, he will hold the event when it comes to honoring the recipients for the Medal of Honor will be awarded the military's highest honor today at the White House. So we've gone over the names, which we may go over again, depending how long the start time to this event is. I think what we can do now is possibly get ready to go to some more of the CENTCOM video. Maybe we have some of that on a split screen we can play as we talk about Operation Epic Fury. A lot going on since February 28th, of course. And the latest CENTCOM information is as of 7:30 this morning, 4 U.S. service members have been killed in action. So what we're doing is we're monitoring the latest on that front from CENTCOM, but also these surgical strikes, these military actions by the Department of War really taking out a lot of Iranian targets. There's a lot of information out there. As you see one of the B-2 bombers there, this is from CENTCOM earlier. You can see I would not want to mess with the United States military with that kind of firepower. Of course, we are the freest nation on earth, the strongest nation on earth, and we hope to be the freest nation on earth until God returns Jesus of Nazareth from the sky to the earth again. But there's the B-2 bombers, a lot of different munitions by air, land, and sea that happened since February 28th as we are in day 3 of Operation Epic Fury. So again, for those of you that missed any of the press conference from earlier today, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Daniel Kane, addressed the media this morning at 8 Eastern. We have that link for you to watch maybe after the president's event at the White House to kind of get up to date on what's going on out there. Also, you can follow us here on Right Side for being up to date. And CENTCOM, of course, the United States Central Command has an X account that posts a lot of the latest information, which I'll go to right now on the fly here, just to double check if there's any new posts by CENTCOM. As we know, this has been entering 3 days of Operation Epic Fury. Iran, according to U.S. CENTCOM, continues to maliciously launch ballistic missiles, indiscriminately targeting military and civilian locations throughout the region. U.S. forces remain on the hunt to eliminate this threat. As the president has said, our resolve has never been stronger. The other update, we have read that one a few times, the 7:30 this morning update. You could check that out if you'd like. Also, at 11:03 p.m. Eastern Time last night, So it was Eastern time. Of course, it was during the day over there in the Middle East. 3 U.S. F-15E Strike Eagles flying in support of Operation Epic Fury went down over Kuwait due to an apparent friendly fire incident. We're told there that all of the pilots are okay. Thank God for the ejection button. But there was some videos circulating as well of our Air Force plane. I saw one of them going down, but again, thank God for an ejection button because all of the pilots are safe. That happened in Kuwait. 14 hours ago, U.S. Central Command saying U.S. forces are taking bold action to eliminate imminent threats posed by the Iranian regime as strikes continue. All right, so it's 11:11 a.m. I think what we can do is this. Let's go to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, and also Mr. Daniel Kane, of course, the Joint Chiefs of Staff. What we can do is we can split screen that maybe, or as soon as we see a live feed, we can go to the White House because this may take some time for it to start. It may be in 20 seconds or in 20 minutes from now. But I believe getting it directly from the press conference for the latest information is the best way to go at this point. So why don't we do that unless we're hearing that there's... Okay, is there a 2-minute warning that we're hearing, guys? Okay, so we're not hearing a 2-minute warning. So can we go to that video or would we like me to stay live here? So we're going to stay live here and we're just going to keep on tap dancing until we get to the event there at the White House. Okay, at 7:30 this morning, CENTCOM mentioned again that they have the latest information when it comes to the 4 service members that have been killed in action. You see there Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. This is just some video playing from a clip that we aired earlier of the Secretary of War speaking. And we will go back to that maybe after the event here as we are getting ready to toss to the White House. So, of course, looking for the latest news. Guys, if you can send anything that you have as we are on standby right now at this point. If we can't go to that clip of them speaking. Last night, U.S. B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs struck Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities. The U.S. Central Command saying no nation should ever doubt America's resolve. Also, about a day ago, 24 hours ago, Iran's IRGC claims to have struck USS Abraham Lincoln with ballistic missiles. That is a lie, according to CENTCOM. The Lincoln was not hit. The missiles launched, that they didn't even come close, according to CENTCOM. The Lincoln continues to launch aircraft in support of CENTCOM's relentless campaign to defend the American people by eliminating threats from the Iranian regime. Okay, so that's some of the latest that we're seeing when it comes to Operation Epic Fury. Also, as we monitor other news in the 24/7 news cycle, over the weekend in Austin, Texas, a radical Muslim wearing a sweatshirt that read "Property of Allah" shot and killed 2 people and wounded 14 others in a terrorist attack carried out at a popular downtown bar and restaurant, again in Austin, Texas. That photo circulating from credible sources with the gunman from Senegal, an American naturalized citizen that came in through the Obama administration. Apparently he had a number of, had a criminal record as well, but somehow became a naturalized citizen. Also, that happened again over the weekend in Austin, Texas. Some very horrible images that I saw over the weekend out of Austin. All right, as we are awaiting the Medal of Freedom ceremony, let's go to some more of our sponsors here at Right Side, including All Family Pharmacy. When was the last time you actually restocked your medicine cabinet? Because most people wait until someone gets sick, unfortunately, and everyone's scrambling, calling the doctor, waiting on appointments, hoping the pharmacy has what they need. And of course, you should have what you need at home. And if you already know All Family Pharmacy, you know there's a better way. When you go to allfamilypharmacy.com, you can stock up in advance on essentials like antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, Tamiflu, and more. More than 300 prescription medications are available, everything reviewed and prescribed safely by their licensed doctors and shipped straight to your door. So you can be prepared before you need it. Just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that code RSBN10 to save 10% on the essentials you want to keep in your medicine cabinet. Also, Rumble Wallet. You may have seen some of these conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back, and it's happening everywhere, unfortunately. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. Of course, we need to fight back in that information area and the financial arena. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. There's a few other companies out there as well when it comes to, Right Side Broadcasting Network and other conservative media outlets. But on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship. But now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. So that's why Rumble has launched Rumble Wallet. It's a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like us without any middleman taking cuts. So we're told that you can actually buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. It's not a wallet it's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with a click of a button. All right, you can support our show and others out there. Just go to wallet.rumble.com. You can download Rumble Wallet today or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. Two great sponsors here on Right Side. Without our great sponsors, we wouldn't be able to bring you all of this live coverage. Of course, we're getting ready to go to the White House here shortly. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Network waiting for that 2-minute warning to go to the White House, the East Room of the White House, for this Medal of Honor ceremony. We're going to see President Trump. I would think we're going to see the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, as well. We saw him this morning, 8 o'clock press conference at the Pentagon with Daniel Kane, of course, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So the latest that we're getting here from CENTCOM is that this is obviously day 3 of Operation Epic Fury. We'll hear from the president today, not only in regards to the great patriots, the Medal of Honor recipients, 2 of them posthumously receiving, 1 will be there in attendance. We'll also most likely be hearing the latest from the president in regards to Operation Epic Fury. I'm going to go to some of the information from over the weekend, some of the, as we call it in the news business, the nuts and bolts, right? The beginning of what happened. So we're going to go to February 28th's information, which of course was Saturday. We were live here for a number of hours covering the onset of everything. We do know that the first 24 hours of Operation Epic Fury, that the CENTCOM commander, Admiral Brad Cooper, said, quote, "The president ordered bold action, and our brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen are answering the call." We also saw that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said the following. This was, again, over the weekend. Overnight, on President Trump's orders, the Department of War commenced Operation Epic Fury, the most lethal, most complex, and most precision aerial operation in history. The Iranian regime had their chance, yet refused to make a deal, and now they are suffering the consequences. For almost 50 years, Iran has targeted and killed Americans, always seeking the world's most powerful weapons to further their radical cause. Over the weekend, unlike any previous president, President Trump began dealing with this cancer. We will not tolerate powerful missiles targeting the American people. Those missiles will be destroyed. Again, this is from the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Those missiles will be destroyed along with Iran's missile production. The Iranian Navy will be destroyed. And as President Trump has said his entire life, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. The United States did not start this conflict, but we will finish it. If you kill or threaten Americans anywhere in the world, as Iran has, then we will hunt you down and we will kill you. That, according to this post here from the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. He finishes by saying, our warriors are the best in the world, and they are fully unleashed to achieve our objectives. May God's providence protect them in this vital mission. So that from the Secretary of War over the weekend. Also, on February 28th, CENTCOM, something that we read here a couple times, we'll read it again here as we await the president for this Medal of Honor ceremony. Again, expecting to see and hear the president speak about day 3 of Operation Epic Fury as well. This is quite the day in news, not only national but international news. Hearing from the president, I believe this is the first time the president will be live talking about Operation Epic Fury. As you guys have seen, he's had 2 comments or 2 statements over the weekend from Mar-a-Lago. Of course, there was that makeshift situation room with several staff members, cabinet members, there at the White House, as the vice president was in the situation room at the White House as well, monitoring the situation. So we'll see here at this Medal of Freedom, or Medal of Honor, guys, if we could change that, please, to Medal of Honor ceremony, which is coming up here in just a few minutes. All right, so the U.S. Central Command commenced Operation Epic Fury on February 28th at the direction of the President of the United States. U.S. and partner forces began striking targets at 1:15 on Saturday morning Eastern Time to dismantle the Iranian regime's security apparatus, prioritizing locations that posed an imminent threat. The Central Command, U.S. Central Command, said targets included the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Command and control facilities, also Iranian air defense capabilities, missile and drone launch sites, and military airfields. The president ordered, again, the bold action, and our brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen are answering the call. That was from the Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of CENTCOM. So you can read all of the latest on CENTCOM's X page as well. Again, that's Central Command. President Trump referring to Central Command a few times during those statements that we saw over the weekend in Mar-a-Lago. Now, of course, the president back at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, holding the event here any minute from now. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors until we get that live feed. Let's go to angelpaste.com. Of course, if you'd like to purchase some skincare products, you can. Angelpaste.com. Use the RSBN promo code. Always goes a long way. I believe we have some of the shipment here in the studio. This is Angel Paste right here, the Miracle Cream. So you can get this if you'd like. Also, out of Spring, Texas, hiring veterans. And again, a number of different products on the site there, angelpaste.com. Check it out. Great sponsor and a great company there. Also, speaking of companies, great companies and great sponsors, Birch Gold Group as well. And if you want to think about something quick, you might not want to think about this because it's tough. But in 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. And at today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth $165,000. So a lot of smart Americans are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals. And that's why you might want to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. So even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text Trump to the number 989898 that you see there on your screen to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just a lot of useful information. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, you can let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Of course, you can get that peace of mind with them as well. So text Trump to 989898. Approaching the bottom of the hour, 11:28 Eastern Time, seeing the B-2 bombers. This is from CENTCOM's video, Central Command, that they have posted this over the weekend. These are some of the military arsenal that nobody would want to mess with is shown there. So that took place, of course, starting on February 28th. We are in day 3 of Operation Epic Fury. We've been covering it since Saturday on air here on Right Side, and then online throughout the day Saturday, online on Sunday. Had a little bit of time with the family yesterday, but obviously back at it today here on Monday as we continue to see the operation carried out in the Middle East. There's a lot of changes happening in foreign policy in the Middle East. We're seeing these surgical strikes done by the United States military. A lot of people saying they don't want a ground war. Of course not. Nobody wants a ground war. But what we're seeing is who knows what will happen. You know, we heard from Pete Hegseth this morning, the Secretary of War. We're going to hear from the president here soon about it as well. Vice President Vance told the Washington Post recently that this would not be a long, drawn-out war. So we'll see what happens. We'll monitor the latest as we take a look again at the 24/7 news cycle here at Right Side. All right. What we do know is, as we monitor the latest out there in the Middle East, we know that in Austin, Texas over the weekend, a radical Muslim wearing a sweatshirt that read "Property of Allah" shot and killed 2 people and wounded 14 others in a terrorist attack that was carried out at a popular downtown bar and restaurant. And on top of that story, we're also monitoring the latest with the various depositions with the Clintons regarding the Epstein files, seeing where that story goes. Plus, will the Save America Act pass in the United States Senate and go to President Trump's desk? So we'll have to see. That is a story, of course, we've been following as well. Who should be against showing an ID or proof of citizenship while you vote? I mean, if you're against that, then maybe you're into something that is more fraudulent and not wanting a free, fair, and honest election. So hopefully the U.S. Senate passes that and President Trump signs that bad boy into law, because saving America, that sounds good to me. So I'm pretty sure it sounds good to many of you out there as well. All right, so we have just a few minutes. We're hearing a few minutes out until we get to the president here. We do know earlier that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, inducted a Medal of Honor recipient, a retired U.S. Navy captain, Royce Williams, into the Hall of Heroes at the Pentagon. That was quite the event. We saw that here on Right Side as well. Let's dive into some more information that we're tracking here on Right Side Broadcasting Network at this point. It's, again, 10:30 Central Time, and also we're looking at 11:30 Eastern Time. As the overnight Sunday, we're told from OSINT Defender, overnight Sunday, a flight of 3 B-1B Lancer long-range heavy bombers with U.S. Air Force's 28th Bomb Wing, based out of Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota, participated in strikes on above-ground ballistic missile launches and command and control sites in Iran in support of Operation Epic Fury. Like the B-2As on Saturday, the B-1B flew a round-trip strike mission from the United States to the Middle East, passing over the Strait of Gibraltar and being refueled over the Atlantic and Mediterranean by aerial refueling tankers staged at bases in Europe. So Gibraltar, of course. So yeah, a lot going on there, as you can see. All right, now, specifically, President Trump's remarks on Iran, we'll see what those are. Will he take questions at the end of this event? But within all of the news that's happening out there, part of this news cycle today is the fact that 3 Medal of Honor recipients will be awarded the military's highest honor today at the White House. So the president will award the Medal of Honor to 3 U.S. Army soldiers: Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds from the U.S. Army will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty from January 27th, 1945 to March 30th, 1945 as a prisoner of war in Germany. Also, Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis of Staten Island, New York, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as an infantryman in Afghanistan. And finally, Command Sergeant Major Terry P. Richardson, he was then Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson, distinguished himself by acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on September 14, 1968, while serving as the Lima platoon leader in Vietnam. So maybe we could show that picture of the three great heroes of our country. We're going to hear the stories of all three Medal of Honor recipients from President Trump at the White House at this ceremony as soon as we see that live feed. Of course, originally scheduled for 11 this morning. We're 31 minutes into the delay, but that's fine. Obviously, there's a lot going on, not only in our country, but around the world, as Operation Epic Fury is now in day 3. All right, Monday, March 2nd, we're going to have to take a quick commercial break. I got to get some water, and we'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Side Broadcasting Network here live in Alabama. Of course, this is RSBN Live. We've been live since 10 this morning, 10 Eastern time, 7 out there on the West Coast. A quick shout out to all of you guys watching throughout the Union right now. Several states, of course, watching. If you'd like, we've done this before. Whether you're watching on Rumble, YouTube, X, wherever you're watching, go ahead and type in the state you're watching from if you'd like. And just say hello to each other. So glad that you're with us on this live stream broadcast. As soon as we see that White House live feed, of course, as you guys know, we'll take you right there. In the meantime, without these great sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do all of the work that we're doing here for you. And of course, over the weekend and all of the coverage that you guys have seen over the years, as we are 10 plus years young here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, you see there, All Family Pharmacy. And that question we've been asking all morning, when was the last time you actually restocked your medicine cabinet? Because most people wait until someone gets sick, then they're scrambling, calling the doctor, waiting on appointments, hoping the pharmacy has what they need. And of course, you should have what you need at home. And if you already know All Family Pharmacy, you know there's a better way, because allfamilypharmacy.com, with them, you can stock up in advance on essentials like antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, Tamiflu, and more. They have more than 300 prescription medications available, everything reviewed and prescribed safely by their licensed doctors and shipped straight to your door, so you can be prepared before you need it. All you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that code RSBN10 to save that 10% on the essentials you want to keep in your medicine cabinet. Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's gold prices, those 33 ounces could be worth about $165,000. How many of us would like to have an extra $165 sitting in the bank account? You know what I mean? Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. And that's why you need to consider buying gold from my friends at Birch Gold Group, our friends, of course, here at the network. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. So just text Trump to the number 989898. Just receive that free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information there with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. Let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Obviously, get some peace of mind there. Text Trump to 989898. 11:36, Monday, March 2nd. We're seeing there the live feed getting ready to go for the White House. So as soon as we see the president, as soon as we see maybe the Secretary of War, we will take you there as soon as we do see that. Thanks again for live streaming in with us. You know, we had a lot of coverage over the weekend as well here at the network on Saturday. If you joined us, we were live for several hours as we saw the information coming through that Operation Epic Fury was just getting started. It started on Saturday morning, 1:15 Eastern time. So by that morning, later in the morning, East Coast time, of course, we were live here. We played a number of President Trump's statements from Mar-a-Lago as he was in that makeshift Situation Room down there at Mar-a-Lago, the Southern White House, if you will. And then we saw photos as well with the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and others at the Situation Room in Washington, D.C. So a lot going on. And if you missed this morning's 8 a.m. press conference, we took that live. You can check that out on our various social media platforms. Of course, Rumble, YouTube, that kind of thing. You can watch that in its entirety to stay up to date on the latest. There were questions there from the press, of course, after the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Air Force leader there, the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Mr. Kane was there as well. You can watch that entire press conference. What we'll do is this: after this event today, we highlight a number of notable moments and videos of the Operation Epic Fury as it's entered day 3. We were going to play some of that now, but of course we're going to wait as we know the president may be speaking any minute from now. So after that event, after this event that we're about to go to, stay tuned as we will highlight a number of notable moments in this morning's press conference. We'll see the video, we'll see the pictures sent out from the United States Central Command. It's about a 12-minute video, kind of gives you like a good day 3 update on what's going on from our United States government, from the Pentagon. And again, that was an 8 a.m. press conference on the heels of President Trump's latest statement, which we also played a bit earlier here on the network. So the latest that we're hearing from United States Central Command is the following. As I pull this up on our screen here, as of 7:30 this morning, March 2nd, 4 U.S. service members have been killed in action. The 4th service member, who was seriously wounded during Iran's initial attacks, eventually succumbed to their injuries. Major combat operations continue, and the response from CENTCOM continues and is ongoing. The identities of the fallen are being withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notifications. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, speaking about this as well. And at the end of his press conference, being asked about how he's praying for our military, each and every one of our brave soldiers and all from the 6 U.S. Armed Forces, the branches, as they are now called into action. And that, according to the Admiral, I believe it was Brad Cooper, the command leader of the CENTCOM, Central Command, saying all 6 branches involved in this Operation Epic Fury. So that includes the Space Force, that includes the U.S. Coast Guard, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, everybody involved when it comes to day 3. So we'll see what the president has to say here shortly. Also, again, why don't we put up the photos of the 3 Medal of Honor recipients that we will be seeing when it comes to receiving the Medal of Honor today. So Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds, U.S. Army, will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty. This was from January 27th, 1945 to March 30th of 1945 as a prisoner of war in Germany. So we will hear more about the Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds from President Trump. The second person we'll hear from when it comes to the story of Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis of Staten Island will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as an infantryman in Afghanistan. The third person we will see there in the White House, Command Sergeant Major Terry P. Richardson. Then Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson distinguished himself by those same acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on September 14th, 1968, while serving as the Lima platoon leader in Vietnam. So we're going to hear more about each of these heroes' stories from President Trump. Now, the question is, what order are we going to go in here at the White House? We're going to monitor it. We'll watch it as you will. Of course, Operation Epic Fury entering day 3. Then we have the Medal of Honor recipients as well. That will take place here shortly. And then will there be a question and answer session after the Medal of Honor recipients? It's one of those things when you're awarding the Medal of Honor, do you kind of change gears and take questions? But usually I would say no, because we've seen that happen before, where the president didn't take questions after an event similar to this. But this time, since it is related, of course, with Operation Epic Fury, maybe the president will. So again, that's all speculation until we actually see it happen. That's why we call it live TV. We just keep on keeping on here on Right Side. So it's 11:42, Monday, March 2nd. Are we hearing any directive, guys, at this point? Any kind of 2-minute warning or anything? Okay, it doesn't sound like we're hearing any 2-minute warning at this point, but as soon as we see it pop up, we'll take it there live. Again, we do have that 12-minute clip that we will play right after this event at the East Room of the White House. And that 12-minute clip will consist of notable moments from this morning's press conference at the Pentagon and the latest videos from CENTCOM, whether it's from land, air, sea, part of the munitions that have been used in Operation Epic Fury, of course, the B-2 bombers and many other aerial operations and anything else that we are seeing there from CENTCOM. So we'll go there in just a minute. In the meantime, since we are obviously stretching here for the live White House feed, let's get to the latest from CENTCOM. If there's anything new going on out there, we do see that Qatar joins war against Iran. So the Qatar Ministry of Defense says its Air Force shot down 2 Iranian fighter jets, intercepted 7 ballistic missiles, and downed 5 drones launched from Iran. Earlier, the White House reposting something from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth saying, quote from Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons. All right, so that's some of the latest that we're seeing here. Let me double check with CENTCOM to see if there's any new posts there. At this point, we're seeing the latest post was 6 minutes ago. So 6 minutes ago, we'll go over some of that right now. It's a fact check. So what they do on X, and I'm following on X and I check out Truth Social as well, U.S. Central Command says that there's this report that the Iranian regime's false messaging machine continues to falsely claim that it has sunk a U.S. aircraft carrier. Again, this is what happens when it's a fluid situation like this. Then you see all the propaganda that can be pushed out by various reports. So the U.S. Central Command says the truth is the only carrier that has been hit is the Shahid Benghazi, an Iranian drone carrier. U.S. forces struck the ship within hours of launching Operation Epic Fury. So just doing some rapid response there with the United States Command Center. against what the Iranians are saying is happening out there in the Middle East. I know a lot of you may have seen the videos, quite some wild videos to see when it comes to a number of these drones, whether it's shot from the Iranians or other countries, going into either hotel buildings or high rises, hearing that drone that is a bomb, right, getting flown in, how quick it happens, and then the explosion right afterwards. And there was one video out there as well in one of the countries in the Middle East where the drone was headed to the building, hits the building, but the bomb didn't go off. The drone just dropped to the ground. Interesting. All right, so we're hearing about 15 seconds out to go to the White House. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. If you'd like to follow me on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez on X. It's Matthew US Media. If you'd like to follow Right Side, it's at RSBN on Truth Social and at RSB Network on X. We're hearing that there's only just a few seconds left until we go there to the East Room. Again, you've been watching live coverage here on RSBN Live. Thanks again. We have quite the week ahead of us when it comes to just covering that 24/7 news cycle, not forgetting about what happened over the weekend in Austin, Texas. Let's go to the White House right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, please bow with me as I ask God's blessings upon this ceremony. Almighty God, your steady hand has guided this republic for nearly 250 years. From its birth in the wilderness to this very hour, we come to you now with grateful hearts. We assemble here today to honor men who, when the test came, were steadfast and unmovable. We thank you for the unyielding conviction of Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds, who looked evil in the eyes and did not flinch. And we thank you for the battlefield grit of Command Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, courage that saved lives in Vietnam and courage that stands before us today. And Lord, we thank you for Staff Sergeant Michael Allis, who, in a final selfless act, made his own body a shield for a friend. Bless the family and friends of these great men of honor, O Lord, and forbid that we leave this place as mere admirers of their heroic deeds. Plant in our hearts a measure of their courage that we might prove worthy of the freedom for which they and generations before them defended. And Lord, now let the light of liberty continue to shine on our great nation. We pray in the strong name of the one who guides us. This will defend. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Green. Wonderful job. Appreciate it. And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit. So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up, but they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped. But everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You've got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot. But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible, and I just want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down, right now you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors, because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But, and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it's because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? You know, they go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine? Here? You know what? To me, that's a beautiful sound. She doesn't like it. I love it. You know what? To me, other than here, because we're donating it, not a penny to the taxpayer. It'll be under budget, ahead of schedule. It'll be $400 million or less. Most people say $400 million or more. No, it'll be less. But when I hear that sound, that beautiful sound behind me, it means money, so I like it. But my wife isn't thrilled. She said, this is getting crazy. I said, don't worry about it. We'll be all finished up in a few months. But now for the reason that we're gathered this morning to recognize the unsurpassed courage of 3 really incredible American heroes, 1 living and 2 no longer with us. So together, we recognize the exceptional valor of Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds. And maybe I could ask your families to stand, because they're beautiful families. I got to meet them, and please. So Staff Sergeant Michael Ollis and Command Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, as they receive our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor. And we're pleased to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He's busy, very busy guy. In fact, I said, if you want, Pete, you can avoid it. General Raisin Cane also, and they said, we don't avoid this one. This is one you wouldn't avoid for anything, right? So we appreciate that you're here. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, who's doing an incredible job, Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. Doug, thank you. You stand up, Doug. You're doing such a good job. 92% approval rating. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, who's known as Raisin Kane. I liked him when I heard that name, Raisin Kane. I said, if it's true, you're my guy. And it's true. It's turned out it's very true. He's a great guy and a great general. Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, and Army Chief of Staff, Randy George. Thank you. Thank you both, Dan. As well as Senators Tom Cotton, Bill Hagerty. You guys were great on television this weekend. I'll tell you what, can't have a better representative than both of you. Thank you very much. And Representatives Tim Burchett, Jack Bergman, and Nicole Maliotakis. And we have a few others sitting here, but I'm not going to go through it because we have far more important people to honor today. Oh, we have Tom Homan. I got to at least mention Tom Homan. I would be a stand-up, Tom. What a job. Zero people coming in. We had millions and millions of people pouring into our country now that, I mean, I'm not even sure I can believe this number is zero, but it is given out by Democrats. Democrats from the left, and they're rated for the last 9 months. We had 0 people come illegally through our border. Right, Tom? So I want to thank you very much. And I also want to salute 6 former Medal of Honor recipients: William Swenson, Jim McLuhan, Walter Marm, Thomas Payne, Sammy Davis. That's an interesting guy. Where is Sammy Davis? We have a big story here, Sammy. You've heard that all your life, I'll bet, huh? And Edward Byers. Stand up, please. You all look good. We all look good. We remember the ceremonies. All great. It's a great honor. There's no greater. I tried for myself. I've tried numerous times to get one by myself. I keep getting shut down. They say, you can't do it, sir. Bad protocol. Very bad. I would say the worst. But I'm only kidding. You don't have to say I'm only kidding. Otherwise, the press will come out with it, which they actually did once. Donald Trump wants a Congressional Medal of Honor, but he's been shut down. But now you are brave, amazing people. And I want to thank you all. In 1941, Roddy Edmonds of Knoxville, Tennessee, enlisted in the U.S. Army and soon rose to one of the youngest master sergeants in the military. In 1944, he sailed to Europe to fight in World War II, and he was so enthusiastic and young and full of vim and vigor. Roddy soon found himself on the front lines of the Battle of the Bulge. That was a big one, massively outnumbered by enemy forces. His 1,200 soldier unit fought valiantly until they were completely overrun. The force was massive on the other side, many times the number. After a 4-day death march, one that was covered very well by the history books, through bitter cold, they were put into a German POW camp. Roddy was the top-ranking infantryman in the camp. He was number 1, meaning he was responsible for the lives of his fellow service members. On July 26, 1945, a Nazi SS officer issued an order over the camp loudspeaker, loud and strong. He said that only American Jews were to show up to roll call following this morning. He added, all who disobey this order will be shot immediately. There were more than 200 Jewish American soldiers in the camp, and Roddy knew their separation from the group would mean certain death. So that night he summoned his team and devised a plan. The next morning, all 1,200 American men fell in line together, shoulder to shoulder. Enraged, the Nazi commandant rushed forward, drew his Luger pistol, and pressed the barrel between Sergeant Edmonds' eyes. He barked at Roddy. They cannot all be Jews, he screamed loud and again, and staring straight back into the raging face of evil, Sergeant Edmonds replied fearlessly, we are all Jews here. The Nazi officer lowered his weapon and the soldiers erupted in cheers. With total disregard for his own life, Roddy had saved over 200 of his fellow service members. Their camp was liberated 2 months later. We're honored to be joined today by Roddy's son, Chris. Please stand up as Thank you, Chris. Today your father gets the honor he so courageously earned, and really amazing, right? It's an amazing story. Congratulations to the family of Master Sergeant Roddy Edmonds. The next 2 we recognize today served in the 1st Battalion, 28th Infantry Regiment of the 1st Infantry Division, better known as Big Red 1. Do you know about that, Pete, right? Command Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, we are honored to have you with us. On September 12, 1968, 102 brave men of Terry's Alpha Company were asked with securing Hill 222 deep behind the enemy's line in Vietnam. They didn't know it at the time, had no idea, but the area was totally infested with nearly 300 enemy bunkers and many, many enemy soldiers, far outnumbering them by at least 4, 5, even 6 to 1. As Terry led Lima platoon up Hill 222, the enemy launched an ambitious and violent attack, unleashing a withering fire of machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. Just didn't stop, just kept coming. Pinned down in hell on earth, Terry summoned unimaginable courage. 3 times he exposed himself to enemy fire to rescue severely wounded comrades, and 3 times he dragged them back to the group. Terry soon realized that the 82 remaining men had one chance of survival. That was air support. Acting without regard of his own life, he grabbed a radio and charged up Hill 222 alone. He needed to be there. It was the only place you'd get reception. He withstood a storm of enemy bullets, eventually reaching the top, where he spent the next 8 hours calling in tactical strikes, completely exposed. An hour in, an enemy sniper shot rang out and the bullet tore through his right leg violently. He was in bad shape, but Terry disregarded that and pushed through. And after 7 more hours of calling in American fire from above, the enemy retreated. Later that day, his team found him with both eardrums totally ruptured and a mangled right leg and foot, but still barely living, but living nevertheless. Due to Terry's actions above and beyond the call of duty, 82 men, Alpha Company, survived this battle, including 2 in this room, Norm Meyer and Dave Himmer. Where are you? Can you want to stand up, Norm and Dave? Where's Norm and Dave? That's pretty good. Pretty good. And that story is 100% correct, isn't it? Huh? See, pretty. It's how much have you paid him over the years? Have you said take everything we have? We wouldn't be here, right? That's great. That's a great story, Terry. Today you enter the ranks of the bravest warriors ever to stride the face of the earth. Please stand up, please. Thank you. That's great, Terry. That's a great, brave man. I met him back there. He said, he's central casting. Look at him. He looks great. He looks great. You feel like fighting? I think we could take him today. What do you think, Pete? We'll make a little deal with him, as you are a brave man. Finally, we honor one more American soldier, a fallen warrior of wars, and really terror. Staff Sergeant Michael Ollis, born in 1988 on Staten Island. Michael grew up seeing the World Trade Center across the bay. I know Staten Island so well. The people in Staten Island are amazing. After 9/11, Michael enlisted in the Army, and by 24 years old, he was locked in. He loved it. He wanted it so badly. He was a squad leader serving in Afghanistan with the 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry Regiment, 1st Brigade Combat Team of the legendary 10th Mountain Division. On August 28, 2013, terrorists detonated a 400-pound car bomb on the east wall of the forward operating base, Ganzi, ripping open a 60-foot wide breach into a compound that housed NATO coalition forces, a lot of them. 10 Taliban fighters wearing suicide vests swarmed through. From across the compound, Michael saw the pillar of white smoke rising and ran to join the fight, rushing without his gear, wearing almost no gear, no Kevlar helmet, no body armor, just one magazine in his rifle. Along the way, he encountered a Polish soldier, and together they advanced under heavy fire, very, very heavy fire. At one point, shrapnel ripped through the Polish soldier's legs, rendering him unable to walk, very, very severely hurt. In that chaos of gunfire, explosions, and charred human remains, a terrorist insurgent appeared, rounding a corner with his suicide vest, fully armed, and you could see it. It was going to happen. He charged the wounded Polish soldier without hesitation. Michael raised his gun and forced himself between the insurgent and the man he just met, shielding him with his own body. He knew it was going to happen. He shielded him with his own body. You know, bravery's amazing. You never really know who's brave, who's not, until they're really tested. We think some people are brave, Pete, and they're not. We think others aren't, and they are. You never know. But he was tested. That's called the ultimate test, right? And at perhaps his final heartbeat, Michael fired his weapon, and the terrorist detonated his vest simultaneously. Staff Sergeant Ollis was killed just weeks before his 25th birthday, and nobody was any more brave than that. In his final act on earth, Michael absorbed the blast, sparing the life of that Polish warrior, who we are grateful to have in the room with us today, Second Lieutenant Carol Sierpika. Carol Sierpika. Where are you, Carol? Hey. Would you like to come up? Please. Please. I'd love to have you come up. Thank you, Carol.
Mr. President, Minister of War, I'm Minister Polish of National Defense, distinguished guests, everyone gathered here today, dear my Basia, Michael, and Jacob, especially dear Linda and Robert, and the entire Ollis family. What do you have that you did not receive? This is how I would like to begin these few words, to speak to you all here. In this special place and on occasion of this incredibly important ceremony, one that is significant for many, but truly especially exceptional for me, is a particular privilege and a great honor. Above all, however, it is my commitment. It is a part of my new mission, which began 13 years ago. A soldier is not something you are from time to time. It is who you are forever. It is just like you are not a mother, a father, a sister, and brother, or as only for a moment. These are not roles given to us for a while. They are a great gift, but also a great lifelong commitment. Yes, today my commitment and my greatest gift is to cultivate the memory of true, heroic act of courage that I witnessed performed by your beloved son, Michael. Please forgive me if my words have not fully captured what I truly feel today. However, sometimes words are simply not enough. I'm deeply moved, happy, and grateful to God for my service, for my parents, for my family, for my beloved homeland Poland, for my second family from Staten Island, and for my second homeland America. God bless you all. Michael, thank you for your service, and I will see you in our heavenly homeland. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much.
And Carol is joined by his wife and their two wonderful sons, Jacob and Michael. Michael is named after the American hero who saved his father's life. So stand up, Michael. Let me see. Wow. That's great. We're also pleased to be joined by several members of the Polish government, including representatives of the president, who I think is a fantastic man, by the way. I must be honest with you. I endorsed him and he won, and he came from behind, he won, and he was the biggest story in Europe, and he's going to be a great president. He already is. But as well as Poland's Minister of Defense, to honor the blood and sacrifice that has helped seal the Polish-American bond. We have a great bond. We have a great relationship with your country. And I just want to thank you to Michael's parents, Bob and Linda. Your son's selflessness in the face of real evil reminds us of the courage that keeps our country free. And I just said the genetics in that family are very strong, right? I said that before. All three families, I said, good. I see some of the young ones today. And I said, you have good genes. They were asking me, what does that mean? I said, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. But you have the best genes you can have, actually. So thank you for giving America your beloved son. And now I would like to ask the military aide to come forward and read the citations, and then we will do the honors. Thank you all very much. This is a tremendous honor for me to be here. Thank you. Please, military aide.
Chris Edmonds, accepting on behalf of his father, Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, March 3, 1863, has posthumously awarded in the name of Congress the Medal of Honor to Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds, United States Army. Master Sergeant Roderick W. Edmonds distinguished himself by acts of gallantry above and beyond the call of duty from January 27, 1945 to March 30, 1945 as a prisoner of war in Germany. Upon arrival at Stalag 9A in Zietenhain, Germany, on the evening of January 26, 1945, the Germans announced that only Jewish American prisoners would fall out for roll call the following morning at the threat of execution. Master Sergeant Edmonds directed his senior leaders to have all 1,200 American prisoners present themselves for roll call. The Nazi commandant became incredulous after realizing that so many Americans were standing in formation. The commandant removed his pistol, pressed it hard against Master Sergeant Edmonds' forehead between his eyes, and demanded that he order all Jewish American prisoners to step forward or he would be shot. Master Sergeant Edmonds fearlessly held his ground, refusing to concede. The commandant lowered his weapon without further attempts to segregate the Jewish American prisoners. Several weeks later, in March 1945, the Germans ordered all prisoners to assemble outside the barracks for evacuation. Master Sergeant Edmonds ordered all American prisoners to form in front of the barracks, and when the enemy transports arrived, they would break ranks and rush back to the barracks. Master Sergeant Edmonds gallantly led these prisoners in a relentless pursuit of opposition and resistance, forcing the Germans to abandon the camp, leaving the 1,200 American prisoners behind. Master Sergeant Edmonds' conspicuous gallantry above and beyond the call of duty are in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit in the United States Army. Command Sergeant Major Terry P. Richardson. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress March 3, 1863, has awarded in the name of Congress the Medal of Honor to Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Terry P. Richardson distinguished himself by acts of gallantry above and beyond the call of duty on September 14, 1968, in the vicinity of Loc Ninh, Republic of Vietnam. On this date, his company was tasked with the mission of securing Hill 222 in hostile and enemy territory near the Cambodian border. Staff Sergeant Richardson directed one of his squads to be the point element leading the way. Shortly after the assault began, 3 of the squad members became severely wounded and pinned down between 3 enemy machine gun bunkers. Staff Sergeant Richardson advanced forward under heavy enemy fire and recovered his wounded soldiers between heavy machine gun fire. By the time he was able to make it back to join his unit, his entire company had been completely surrounded by the enemy. Staff Sergeant Richardson recognized that the only way to keep his company from being overrun was with accurate tactical airstrikes. Staff Sergeant Richardson advanced to the top of Hill 222 under heavy enemy fire for better sight lines to direct the tactical airstrikes. He began to direct the tactical airstrikes and shortly thereafter became wounded by an enemy sniper. Staff Sergeant Richardson continued directing the tactical airstrikes for 7 more hours before the enemy broke contact. 6 soldiers from his platoon found him still alive. Staff Sergeant Richardson declined medical evaluation for his gunshot wound and requested that he be allowed to stay to lead his soldiers. Altogether, his actions directly resulted in 85 lives being spared on that fateful day. Staff Sergeant Richardson's conspicuous gallantry and extraordinary heroism at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, are in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Robert and Linda Ollis accepting on behalf of their son, Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress March 3, 1863, has posthumously awarded in the name of Congress the Medal of Honor to Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Michael H. Ollis distinguished himself by acts of gallantry above and beyond the call of duty on 28 August 2013 in Afghanistan. On this date, a complex enemy attack involving multiple vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices, suicide vests, indirect fire, and small arms fire was launched against Forward Operating Base Hanzi. Staff Sergeant Ollis ordered his fellow soldiers to move to bunkers to shield themselves from enemy fire. After accounting for his soldiers, he moved toward the enemy force that had penetrated the perimeter of the forward operating base. Staff Sergeant Ollis located a coalition forces officer, and together they moved toward the point of attack, armed with only their rifles. Upon reaching the attack point, they linked up with other friendly forces and began a coordinated effort to repulse the enemy. While under continuous fire, Staff Sergeant Ollis moved from position to position, engaging the enemy with accurate and effective fire. While fighting along the perimeter, an insurgent came around the corner. Staff Sergeant Ollis fired on the insurgent and incapacitated him, but as he approached the downed insurgent, the insurgent's suicide vest detonated and mortally wounded him. Staff Sergeant Ollis's exceptional courage and complete disregard for personal safety were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon him, his unit in the United States Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, please bow with me as we give the benediction. Eternal God, our unfailing light in every darkness, the rock on which we stand, as we depart this place of honor, may the courage of these heroes be our example, righteousness our choice, and hope in you our guiding light. We especially ask for your protection over our military service members who are protecting the interests of our nation at this very moment. And Heavenly Father, grant us the will to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before you. In your holy name we pray. This we'll defend. Amen.
All right, so the president awarding 3 U.S. Army heroes with the Medal of Honor in the East Room of the White House today. Powerful moments for a powerful country and a powerful military. We're going to return in just a minute to the Pentagon for the press conference, some notable highlights, moments from the press conference from earlier, and also some of the latest videos and photos of Operation Epic Fury as we enter day 3 into that operation there in the Middle East, specifically, of course, in Iran. Before we get to that, let's go to a couple sponsors, and then we'll go to that video in just a minute. You can see right there, the mega sale for mypillow.com/RSBN is back. A lot of great savings there, a lot of wonderful products as well. The great Mike Lindell, running for governor in Minnesota, has a great company with MyPillow, and also fighting for election integrity. Hopefully we get this Save America Act passed as well. So mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to the following, rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate, as we grow and expand here at Right Side. All right, so we just saw that powerful event at the White House. And speaking of the United States Armed Forces, this morning, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General Daniel Kane, held that press briefing at the Pentagon. Again, here are some notable moments of that conference with some of the latest videos and photos from U.S. Central Command as we enter day 3 of Operation Epic Fury.
Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it. Through the blood of our people, car bombs in Beirut, rocket attacks on our ships, murders at our embassies, roadside bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan, funded and armed by Iranian Quds Force and IRGC killers. My generation of veterans carry the names of brothers who never came home. Brothers butchered by Iranian-backed roadside bombs and well-armed militias, thousands of our own. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their Ayatollah. It took the 47th president, a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw the line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence. He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. President Trump has also been very consistent. Crazy regimes like Iran, hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons. It's common sense. Many have said it, but it takes guts to actually enforce it, and our president has guts. Iran's stubborn and self-evident nuclear pursuits, their targeting of global shipping lanes, and their swelling arsenal of ballistic missiles and killer drones are no longer tolerable risks. Iran was building powerful missiles and drones to create a conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Let me say that again. A conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Our bases, our people, our allies, all in their crosshairs. Iran had a conventional gun to our head as they tried to lie their way to a nuclear bomb. It almost worked under Obama and his terrible deal, but not under this president. We fight to win, and we don't waste time or lives. As the president warned, an effort of this scope will include casualties. War is hell, and always will be. A grateful nation honors the 4 Americans we have lost thus far and those injured. The absolute best of America. May we prosecute the remainder of this operation in a manner that honors them. No apologies, no hesitation, epic fury for them and the thousands of Americans before them, taken too soon by Iranian radicals.
On February 28th, the full strength of America's armed forces came together in a unified purpose against a capable and determined adversary. The United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and our reserve components integrated across our combatant commands and began coordinated operations with the Israeli armed forces of an unprecedented scale. As the Secretary laid out, our military objectives are clear. Our mission is to protect and defend ourselves and, together with our regional partners, prevent Iran from the ability to project power outside of its borders, and be ready for follow-on actions as appropriate. Across every domain, land, air, sea, cyber, the U.S. Joint Force delivered synchronized and layered effects designed to disrupt, degrade, deny, and destroy Iran's ability to conduct and sustain combat operations. On the U.S. side, this marked the culmination of months and in some cases years of deliberate planning and refinement against this particular target set. From precision strikes against key military infrastructure to persistent intelligence and targeting integration to the close coordination of the components across vast distances, this operation again demonstrated America's reach, readiness, and professionalism, and that of our joint united force. It was historic not only in the operational scope, but in the level of joint integration displayed across every element of the joint force. And as I said earlier, this work is just beginning and will continue.
Today, in their desperation, the enemy is unmasked. As Iranian missiles and drones rain down indiscriminately on the hotels, airports, apartments, and other civilian targets of their neighbors. Cowardly terrorist tactics from a regime that for decades has trafficked in cowardly terrorist tactics, lies, death, and destruction to this day. The Iranian leadership has built nothing except proxies and missiles and drones and deeply buried nuclear factories and facilities. Peaceful nuclear ambitions do not need to be buried underneath mountains. Last June, Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their nuclear program to rubble. Afterward, we told them plainly, that's it, now make a deal. They arrogantly refused. We said, rebuild it, and we'll stop you again, this time far worse. Well, President Trump, Secretary Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, they bent over backwards for real diplomacy, offering pathway after pathway to peace. I watched it. I was there. They tried over and over and over again earnest attempts at peace. The former regime had every chance to make a peaceful and sensible deal. But Tehran was not negotiating. They were stalling, buying time to reload their missile stockpiles and restart their nuclear ambitions. Their goal, hold us hostage, threatening to strike our forces. Well, President Trump doesn't play those games. And as Secretary Rubio said after the Maduro raid, if you don't know, now you know. President Trump puts America and Americans first. He doesn't hesitate, and neither do our troops. The mission of Operation Epic Fury is laser-focused. Destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons. We're hitting them surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically. Let me speak straight to you, the Joint Force, our warriors on the front lines. This is your moment. This is the generational turning point America has waited for since 1979, and since the rudderless wars of hubris, my generation, our generation, endured. Don't listen to the noise. Just stay focused. Our commander-in-chief is steady at the wheel. We face a determined enemy, but you are better. But we must prove it every single day. History doesn't care if we're tired, if we're scared, or if the fight feels big. It demands warriors who rise anyway. Peace through strength, the warrior ethos, lethality, unity of purpose, those are not slogans. They're the beating heart of what it means to wear the uniform, that uniform. You think clearly under fire, you act decisively in chaos, you uphold the Constitution, and you uphold our country without hesitation. We are not defenders anymore. We are warriors, trained to kill the enemy and break their will. History is watching. Be the force you swore an oath to be: focused, disciplined, lethal, and unbreakable. We will finish this on America First conditions of President Trump's choosing. Nobody else's, as it should be. And know this above all, President Trump and I have your back, always. Through fire, through criticism, through fake news, through everything. We unleash you because you are the best, most powerful, most lethal fighting force the world has ever seen. May Almighty God watch over you, and his providential arms of protection extend over you. Godspeed, warriors, and keep going.
Wow. You can catch this morning's Pentagon press conference on all of our social media platforms if you'd like to watch it in its entirety. For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we'll see you at 2:45 Eastern Time as First Lady Melania Trump presides over a UN Security Council meeting calling for peace through education. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again at 2:45 Eastern right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.